celebrating a milestone in the life of Brianna Taylor, one she will never be able to see. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bobby McSwine. Shawnee Park is filled this Saturday with people who still feel the weight of her death. Connor Steffen speaks with those remembering Taylor today, some who traveled thousands of miles to make it to her 30th birthday celebration.
In the beginning of the year and when it's in, we will remember Brianna.
In Shawnee Park, you'll see her name everywhere.
Say her name!
And hear it, too.
Say her name!
The dozens gathered here, family, friends, those who came to know her in her death, are celebrating the passing of yet another birthday without her. Taylor was killed in March 2020 after LMPD officers executed a botched search warrant and shot into her home. Her death sparked national outrage and was a flashpoint in Louisville. Taylor was just 26. Brianna Taylor would have turned 30 years old today. It's a moment to celebrate, but also a milestone to mourn.
When you're dealing with a death as tragic as that one was, it's very undescribable.
The way you balance the heartbreak of the incident and is that we get together to fellowship. We have to be around each other. We all are feeling the sorrow and the loss of her not being here, but also we're finding great comfort in seeing each other again and talking to each other.
And together they will continue to honor her name and lasting legacy.
You know, the impact that Brianna Taylor has had on the city of Louisville is unimaginable.
One that only grows as gatherings like this continue. In Louisville, Connor Steffen, WHAS11 on your side.
A man is dead after a shooting in Shively this afternoon. Shively police say they responded to the shooting just before 2:30 this afternoon on Ralph Avenue near Neblett Avenue. When officers arrived, they found a 21-year-old who had been shot and killed. Police say a suspect at the scene was quickly placed in custody and they have been charged with murder. And police have made an arrest in a deadly Portland shooting back in April. Police arrested Ivan Calder in connection with a shooting on North 25th Street. Officers say just before 2:30 on April 18th, they found a woman inside a home there suffering from a gunshot wound. That woman was transported to the hospital where she died. According to court documents, witnesses say Calder was in a fight with the victim when he pulled out the gun and shot her. Calder has been charged with murder and possession of a firearm by a felon. And today, Congressman Morgan McGarvey hosted a town hall hearing people's ideas on how to prevent gun violence in the city. Today's town hall comes more than a month after two mass shootings rocked the metro. McGarvey has been an active proponent of gun reform since he took office in Washington. And today, he hoped to gain more perspective on what his constituents would like to see in Congress.
What I heard today is that there are people in our community who are still hurting from the mass shooting, who are still hurting from the everyday effects of gun violence. And I think, like me, are tired of the fact that we're not doing enough on a policy level that helps people out.
McGarvey has been calling for a ban on assault weapons, red flag laws, and universal background checks. Well, Kentucky has made significant strides in keeping former prisoners out of jail and away from committing new crimes, according to a new report. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear announced that the state's repeat offender rate has dropped to a record low, just over 27%. Beshear touted the success of several initiatives for helping state inmates secure jobs and addiction treatment at record levels, which he credited for keeping more Kentuckians from returning to prison.
Remember, when we get somebody who is leaving prison in a stable position, in a good job with the services they need, maybe in treatment if they need it, they are less likely to reoffend, which makes our community safer. It means fewer crimes are happening than would otherwise be happening.
The governor touted a statewide project that offers no-cost transportation for former inmates so they can make it to things like addiction treatment and job interviews. And he praised a, quote, prison to work initiative announced last year that's aimed at helping line up jobs for inmates before they even leave custody. Well, the group in charge of distributing the opioid settlement money announced their next steps this week. They plan on looking at new therapeutic treatment options for those affected by opioid use disorder. The Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission proposed looking into treatments specifically to help reverse the chemical effects of opioids. That would include treatments to help opioid withdrawals.
It's that since 2019, we have lost 7,665 Kentuckians to overdose. That's more than 1/4 the population of Frankfurt. We know that opioids typically account for 90% of these deaths. Now, statistics like these are hard to hear.
Existing addiction treatment models have modest success rates, but some existing treatments are subject to misuse or too expensive for those suffering to afford treatment. In an unprecedented move, Churchill Downs announced they will be following the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority's recommendation, suspending racing at the track beginning June 7th. Instead, Churchill Downs will be moving their operations to Ellis Park in Henderson, Kentucky. The move comes after a dozen horses died at the tracks since April. Churchill will run the races scheduled for this weekend, but Sunday will be the final day, and racing will resume at Ellis Park starting next Saturday and run through the rest of the meet, which is lasting until July 3rd. In a statement, Churchill Downs says the move comes out of an abundance of caution, saying in part about the famed Louisville race surface, no single factor has been identified as a potential cause, and no discernible pattern has been detected to link the fatalities at the track, end quote. Fans telling us they were shocked by the decision to move.
I think there could be other precautions taken, but I don't think they should take it away from this track.
Yeah, it's like a historic landmark.
I hate to see races go to another park. This is a special track.
However, fans say they will continue to support their favorite horses no matter where they race. But fans aren't the only ones shocked by this move. The Kentucky Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, which represents owners and trainers, released this statement saying, horsemen question the purpose of this unprecedented step, especially without conclusive evidence that there is a problem at the racetrack at Churchill Downs. Drastic steps such as relocating an active race meet should only be considered when it is certain to make a difference, end quote. 7 years ago today, the sports world in Louisville lost the greatest. Muhammad Ali died in his home in Scottsdale, Arizona, and is now buried here at Cave Hill Cemetery. Well, today admirers were invited to come out to his gravesite and remember one of the most significant sports figures in history. Given complimentary roses, guests could place them on his grave and honor the legacy he left behind.
I think it's important to celebrate because I think heroes, true heroes, are few and far between. So I think it's important for our kids, our grandchildren to understand exactly what Muhammad stood for. Here's a guy who took his platform and decided he was going to do good in the world. It wasn't all about athletics.
And celebrations of his life continue through this week with a packed schedule sponsored by the Ali Center.